kickabout. Los Lobos.
Hey guys, this is Sparkplus Ultra here, and this is my new What If. Thank you for voting on which character you want. I'm a bit surprised on you guys choosing Mercy, but I say underrated ones are the best one. What if Deku had Mercy Graves abilities, strong behind the looks? And I hope you like this video and hope you subscribe. In a world where 80% of humanity has a quirk that gives them superpowers ability, the people that fight for the light are called heroes, and those that fight them in the darkness and cause havoc are called villains. But some don't have a quirk. They are called quirkless. And we get to a slum in the city of Tokyo. Sumi was living in the slums at a young age. She was strong, but at a limit of desperation, wanting to have something to have. She never specifically wants reason, motive. She just wants a job to get and do something. She also has a motive for something that she doesn't know yet. When Zumi was walking around trying to find something that she could be in, have a job to pay off something, get something as well, she trips and falls on the ground of the city. Then she tries to stand up, but then a hand comes forth, and a man with a deepening sound says, "My, it's very nice to see a young lady like you here." And Zumi looks at the man with dark mask covering his face. And Zumi was looking at the number one villain. And Zumi wasn't even shocked or shaken, surprisingly enough. She was afraid, but not much. And then says, I'm all for one. And Sumi says, I know who you are. I heard your stories and rumors. Just surprised that your aura is true. Sumi was having a moment of thinking, what should I even do? Run away? Oh, probably search me out 10 seconds. Then, all for one chuckles. You think you can fight me as well, despite your being quirkless? And then Zumi, if options, I'm honestly having no luck with this. Then all for one says, I have a job for you. And Zumi was surprised to hear that. What is it? The pay will be good. I would say you're being a bodyguard for my protege. His name is Shigaraki. And Sumi says, thinking the weight, if someone wants me to bodyguard to villain's protege, then the risk is high. How much do you pay? Sumi then says that. And then, all for one, smiles and says, I'll tell you. And then Zumi grabs all for one's hand. She grabs the devil's steel. Zumi was trained to become Shigaraki's personal bodyguard. She had a kickboxing background, but was amplified to increase that to some mixed martial arts as well. And then, one for all, says, Shigaraki, this is your bodyguard. Meet Sumi. Doria. She wears the same thing that Mercy Graves wears in her same uniform in DC Universe. And Tomura says, "What's with the getup?" Zumi says, "It's just a personal business. And I'm your bodyguard, so don't be so picky." And Shigaraki scratches his neck. "Can I get a new one?" And All For One says, No, it's not nice to say that from your first meeting." And Zumi says, "Plus, I'm only here to help make a job, so don't push your own line, Mr. Tomura." And then Shigaraki says, "I'm so gonna be angry." Then the League of Villains were doing their same plot, getting Aoyama to tell the information about how to get into USJ or information about All Might's condition. And Zumi then was at the back guard of the UA and waits on Aoyama's information. And when Aoyama comes, Aoyama was giving a look of sadden for doing this. And Zumi says, "Good. What? Is it that big of a problem for you?" And Aoyama then says, "Yeah, I'm not really the type of guy that does this. I didn't even want this to happen." Then Zumi rolls her eyes, caring less. "Your family did this to you, so you have to pay it back. That's just business." And Aoyama says, "Man, you're very mean when you are." And Zumi says, "Maybe you should think that through. We don't want you to go soft on us. Now, where is the information?" And Aoyama gives it to her, and Aoyama says, "I really hate this," and goes back to his UA class. Sumi then takes the information to Shigaraki Tomagiri, and Shigaraki says, "Good. You did good, Yama." And Zumi then and Shigaraki says, "Oh, yeah, you too, Zumi." And Tomagiri says, "You should give credits where credit's due. Despite her not having work, she's doing rather well." And Shigaraki, annoyed, but says, "Yeah, give her that." And then Zumi says, "So what's the plan?" And then Shigaraki says, "We're going to the USJ to basically take Class 1A as ransom." And Zumi says, "Not bad of a plan, but what if All Might comes in?" And Shigaraki says, "That's not the big issue. They don't know yet. They know that it's Azawa and 13. And Zumi smiles on this, saying, "Oh, not bad of a plan. I'll give it to you." And then Zumi says, "I'll take hacking through whole USJ. Alright?" And Shigaraki says, "No problem. Don't disappoint me." And Tomagiri says, "Yeah, I'll teleport you to the system to hack it." And Zumi says, "Thanks, Tomagiri." When UA Class 1A have gone into USJ, Tomagiri teleports Zumi to the computer room where all the systems are in. Zumi then takes down the guards and the people with her fighting, kickboxing background, knocking them out. And Zumi says, "Is that all? that they had. I'm a little disappointed. And Shigaraki calls her in his earpiece. Yeah. You're impressive when it comes to hand to hand. Now get going. And Sumi says, fine. I really need a raise for this. Sumi then hacks into the computer system and putting USJ in lockdown and having a, minor villain to make the system have no internet or wireless to contact to anyone for emergency. And Aoyama says something's off when they were down in there. And Sumi says, alright, Shigaraki, time to let loose on our earcon. And Shigaraki says, good, now let's do this. And Shigaraki comes out of the teleportal. That's just like all in canon. And they do the intro. We are the League of Villains. We're here to not cause any harm. We're just wanting them as ransom. All of Class 1A were surprised to see that the villains aren't simulated. They are real. Then the USJ follows as in canon, except for not having Zuko there because he helped out most of it by using the water and keeping All Might secret safe for a time. And when one of the Class 1A tries to open the door, Sumi then says, oh no, you're not cutting my pay, and tries to increase the weight of the door, but Tenya makes it out. And then Tomogiri says, Sumi, why didn't you shut it? And Sumi says, they lifted it with their strength, and this is the maximum it can get. Don't blame me for this one. It's the machine. And Tomogiri says, fine. Then it goes all into canon as Tomogiri and Shigaraki and Izumi retreat while the Nomu has been defeated by All Might and restrained. And Sumi sighs and says, looks like I'm not getting that pay cut. And Shigaraki says, well, you do get a bonus for helping us with the technology. So I wouldn't say it doesn't gone too bad. It just pissed me off that All Might isn't weak. And Sumi says, I thought Aoyama's words were true. I guess we need to think things a bit more. And Shigaraki says, and don't think you'll get another time with that. And Sumi rolls her eyes and says, well, we all have to deal with this, so don't be a problem, okay? And Tomogiri agrees with Sumi's words with this. And Sumi says, also, don't be all snarky with me. You're a terrible leader to deal with. I can't always help with your system. You need to have this, you know? And Shigaraki says, why are you my mom? And Sumi says, no, I'm younger than you, but I still somehow need to give you a lecture for that. And Shigaraki groans. Despite your looks, you have one brutal streak of lecturing someone. And Sumi says, hey, I'm stronger even if I have good legs. And Shigaraki tries to not get angry with her. And that's where I'm ending this video. I hope you liked this video and hope you subscribe. See you next time. Plus Ultra.